Alright, happy Sunday everybody, or whenever this is posting. It's Sunday here and we're going to go work in the wood yard for a little while. Try and get some stuff organized, shoved around. We got a bunch of fresh dried wood coming this week. I shouldn't say fresh, standing dry wood coming this week. And we need to make room for it. Shuffled some totes around a little earlier and figured I better bring you guys in on the action a bit here. And also, we're playing with the new grapple, grapple. Not brandy new, but should work just fine for what we're trying to do with things here. Already started moving a little bit, consolidating, and figured I better bring you guys along for the ride here and see what we can come up with. See, we got a pretty good sized mountain of standing dry ash that was delivered from one of the local tree services, Maple Springs Tree Service. Thanks Timmy and the crew out there, and my buddy Andy. Worked out pretty awesome. Made a good deal on that stuff, and it's going to fit the bill for a year or two, and maybe even a few customers, or even just people in need that need some stuff. So we'll try to do a little bit of everything with it here. We're just kind of shuffling around, trying to get this stuff consolidated down. It was kind of spread all over the place. Some of this is just big old knotty stuff that really don't feel like messing with, to be quite honest. This is if we're bored or somebody needs some wood that really would make them work for it a little bit, but I really don't want to play with it. That makes good wood for that. Most of it's hardwood. There's a touch of pine in there, but what do you do? I actually like to burn pine. I burn 12 months out of 12, so pine is pretty good for during the summer for me, because then I can kind of set it, throw it in there. I fire the boiler up for a couple hours a night and get my domestic hot water and everything, and I'm not spending whatever gas prices are nowadays on stuff, and helps out a little bit so that I only need gas for cooking and miscellaneous. Then I get hot water in the shop. I run a heat exchanger in the shop, and then it gives me 180, 190 degree water from the hose, so you need to wash something off or just do a basic cleaning and stuff you can without having to worry about running a hose out from the house and fiddling around with trying to get the hot water heater hooked up and stuff like that. So, some in the ditch here. Yeah. Still getting used to this grapple a little bit, but she's a sweetheart. It's working out really, really well for what I need it for. Try not to flop the machine over and we'll be in business here. There we go. It is a heavy bucker. Fortunately, I was able to grab this from a friend of a friend for a price that worked for both of us. Full horse trade involved, a little bit of everything, but it's actually a Bobcat Root Grapple, and they're built like a brick shit house, man. I tell you what. I've run some cheaper grapples, and Andy from Stone Enterprises, he has a Bobcat Grapple bucket, which was kind of cool. I really liked it for the little bit of help I did with the neighbor working at his place. It worked good for cleanup, and I can see why tree services and landscaping services really like those. Because it's literally a bucket. You get chunks of crap and whatever left over from a tree job. You quite literally just scoop it up like you would a normal bucket and grab onto it with a grapple and grab it off your fingers on top, and you're off to the races. You're done. This actually works better for me because, as you can see some of the logs over there, if I take and it gives me a little more reach, which if I had to find one thing to complain about with a skid steer versus a tractor is you don't have the reach out front. So it's kind of nice to gain a couple feet out in front of everything on top of your normal normal, well, T-Rex arms, so to speak here. Yeah, the only downside about this, other than that, nothing but positives. Okay, we shuffled some totes out of the way here, just to make room and make sure everything's out of the way. Trying to make room. I'm actually going to probably add another, oh, I'd like to add another 40 totes worth of wood to the stockpile before winter. We've got it, Lord knows we've got the resources to do so. It's just a matter of, now I gotta find the totes. There was the gentleman I was getting totes from semi-locally, and he has, actually I don't know what his deal is. I haven't been able to get a hold of him, or he hasn't been able to get a hold of totes. So, I'm gonna try to buy him with just the, just the cage and not the liner, because I really don't have a need for the liner. Some people like to cut them and use them as top hats for everything. I can care less as far as that goes. I'm sure the wood would dry a little faster being out in or without the elements or whatever the case is. But my wood just dries just fine enough with it being in the normal out in the weather. And I think there is something to be said about it getting a little rain on it to season things. Some people have done testing and can confirm or deny that, but I've never had a problem where I'm struggling to find wood that's dry enough to burn. It also helps with my boiler legitimately doesn't care. It's an older heat more. It doesn't give two shits about what you put in it. Even if it's somewhat flammable, it's going to burn it. I've had stuff in there, and yeah, it builds up creosote a little faster if you're not dry. But sometimes you get in a bind, and you got to do what you got to do. And I wholeheartedly understand that. I learned a lot my first couple of years running that. That's what I pay him for. Alright, let's get this thing off. And then we'll put the bucket on, smooth that back out a bit. Be off and running.
Gravel products, excuse me. They're worth checking out in general. Like they do really awesome material. Delivered local, keeping it local, and not big monopoly material handling places either. So I get it. Everybody's grows it where they want to, but you know what? Sometimes it's worth keeping it local with the smaller guys that are making it happen, and they're there and they pick up the phone when you call. We try to do that as much as we can, and we like the whole Lucian clan, so went to school with them, so it all works out. Just laid down real nice, like. The only downside to the skid steer, I would say, is that it can be a little rough on smooth pads if you're trying to not tear the hell out of everything. But a lot of that also is, if we're being honest, my inexperience. So you take Andy or Jeremy or somebody that is much more seasoned with these things, and they can do a much nicer job working and keeping things from getting look like they got made love to the grizzly bear. So I'm just good enough with a lot of this stuff to be dangerous, so which is fine. The world needs them too. fill the tractor without having to lug jugs around and things like that. 'Cause that's a pain in the neck, like jugs suck. There and let it kind of soak and break down. And a lot of that parking crap isn't really good for much. So do that. At least it's out of the way. I don't like that. Six-way head on it, which would probably work pretty well for most of this big stuff that I've got. Save a little time and still make production with it. And see the mountain works with there. Perfect. Cool today. It's like 70, 71, I think. Just like we like it. Well, I guess we're done playing with the skid steer for the day. I'm going to go and tinker with Dad's fuel tank a little bit. And have a semi-relaxing day of enjoying the cooler weather and just chilling around the house and around the shop and getting some stuff done. So thanks for tagging along. I'm playing with the new grapple, and we'll see you guys soon. Don't forget to give a like, give a subscribe, and with any luck, we'll have some more sled content coming here before too long. We've got a bunch of them coming in for service to get cool stuff coming down the pipeline too. So keep an eye out for the channel and the Facebook page, and we got some neat stuff happening. So I'll see you guys soon, and enjoy the afternoon.